losing all. Freedom's cage closing in. Voices clash in madness. Extremes on every path. In this cold steel kingdom, no light, no end in sight. Bound by chains of data, our souls lost in the night. Concrete blocks towering high, thoughts constricted by codes. Every side spewing lies, no escape, nowhere to hide. Beneath the synthetic skies, hollow eyes search for peace. In the streets of broken dreams, endless nights never cease. In this cold steel kingdom, no light, no end in sight. Bound by chains of data, our souls lost in the night.
Okie dokie. Let's get this party started. And by get this party started, I mean light this garbage fire off. So, first thing I would just like to mention is that I do have a Substack. It is at theredneckhipster.substack.com. You can check out all the cool stuff I write, like poetry or overly verbose explorations of morality or existentialism, fiction, culture. I got all sorts of stuff on here. Just thought I'd mention it. That one's a really good read, my personal favorite. And yeah. And so with that, let's go ahead and read the news. So first off, celebrating the Jewish New Year of Rosh Hashanah, we have Biden saying the U.S. is discussing Israeli strikes on Iranian oil facilities. It really does appear as though the people at the levers of power in this country and in the world would rather flip the game board and all the pieces and set the damn thing on fire than let the other guy win. Really sad state of affairs. But, so Joe Biden said the U.S. is discussing with Israel the possibility of Israeli strikes on Iran's oil infrastructure. When he asked if he would support such strikes, Biden said, "We're discussing that." I'm pretty sure there were a lot more disfluencies in his response there. His off-the-cuff remarks is if he has any other, the dude can't think, he's done, toast, poof, bye. Let's see, benchmark of Brent crude shot up by 5% immediately after the remarks. Now it's up 10. Somebody making money. Then Yahoo said Iran will pay a heavy price for Tuesday's attack, which saw 180 ballistic missiles fired at Israel. Holy shit. It's a lot of money. Just, like, all things being equal, remove the context, remove the associations, just look at it for what it is. That's a lot of fucking money. They really fucking hate Israel. Holy shit. Never hated somebody so much that I'd want to spend $5 on them, let alone however much that cost. Satellite imagery published by the Associated Press news agency said damage to Nevatim Air Base, one of the targets of the attack. The barrage was a response to the killing of Hamas political leader, which, what was that, like 2 weeks ago now? Biden's not expecting Israel to launch its retaliation on Thursday. And first of all, we don't allow Israel, we advise Israel, and there's nothing that's going to happen today. That's, like, props to him for putting it that way, because, yeah, kind of, sort of, they're their own country, we're our own country, they can ask us for advice, they may be an ally, but we don't control them, they don't control us, allegedly. But who are they, though? U.S. official told Reuters news agency that the U.S. believes Israel is still determining what exactly to do. U.S. did not support airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Good, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Everything's on fire. I hate it. Striking Iran's nuclear facilities could help change the face of the Middle East. Duh. And fatally cripple this terrorist regime. Israel media citing local officials suggests Israel's plan to strike Iran's oil facilities. If Iran hits back, which they will, Israel will target nuclear facilities. Okay, so we're gonna punch you. If you try to defend yourself from our punch, that's what we're defending ourselves with, then we're gonna punch you again in the balls, basically. Hey, no bueno. Told state TV that it would hit infrastructure across Israel if it retaliates. The barrage will be repeated with bigger intensity and all infrastructure of the regime will be targeted. Biden said on Wednesday he had consulted with leaders of the G7 countries who agreed Israel has the right to respond, but they should respond proportionately. Reasonable. Let's hope cooler heads prevail here because, yeah, there's a lot of dead people if it continues to escalate. It's already a lot of dead people, and I don't want people to die anymore. I mean, not like this. Car crashes, cancer, stupid accidents where they tip vending machines over on themselves. I don't know, something, anything but war. Is that really that much to ask? Anyway. So that's that one. Happy New Year. And then here we got my favorite greasy, oily, Patrick Bateman looking motherfucker. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, which I am a refugee of that state. I fled the destruction of failed policy and sought refuge in the actual America. Sorry, I'm Californian. I can't choose where I'm born. But Newsom's law, AB 2839, allowed any person to sue for damages over AI deepfakes within 120 days of an election and up to 60 days after. The judge ruling on it said artificial intelligence deepfake pose a significant threat or significant risks, but ruled the law is unconstitutional as it likely violated the First Amendment. No fucking shit. Like, it's clear as day. It does not matter what you present it as. It does not matter. Contrary to popular belief and what the guy running for Democratic vice president said in the debates, you can yell theater in a crowded fire. You are allowed to do that. The only restrictions on speech are direct incitement to violence and like slander shit. You can do satire all you want. Satire is great. And the fact that Gavin Newsom wanted him to label it satire, go fuck yourself. Decision comes from a case involving Christopher Coles, known as Mr. Reagan on X. Coles created a controversial AI-altered campaign video in July mocking U.S. President Kamala Harris, and it is fucking hilarious. Watch this shit.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed the senility of the debate.
Of course it's picking up ambient audio. Fuck.
Because I am the ultimate diversity hire.
Hold up. Let me stop being a boomer for a minute. Audio output. No, audio input capture. Das ist esto. Bingo, bango, bongo. And then if we turn these off. Okay, now let's try.
Both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Joe
beautiful.
taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time.
Oh,
right?
it brings a smile to my face.
So when you think about it, there is great
laugh, I'm
significance
just
to
gonna
the
fucking
passage
go
of
insane.
time. And
Probably
there
already
is such
there.
great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea.
Mr. Reagan.
It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened
By what has
by
been.
what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. Do you think the country went to over the past 4 years?
I'll drink
You
for
ain't
that.
seen nothing yet.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Go like and subscribe his stuff. He's fucking great. And let's see. So a lawyer representing him filed a lawsuit against California Attorney General Rob Bonta and Secretary of State Shirley Ann Weber to block the new law a day after California Governor Gavin Newsom signed it into law on September 17th. Law allowed California judges to order distributors of AI deepfakes to take them down or face potentially, can't read today, I'm so bad, or potentially face monetary penalties. Mendez said Coles is likely to succeed on his state constitutional claim and granted the motion a preliminary injunction on yesterday, which is wonderful. I like the finding here. Most of AB 2839 acts as a hammer instead of a scalpel, serving as a blunt tool that hinders humorous expression and unconstitutionally stifles the free and unfettered exchange of ideas, which is so vital to American democratic debate. Whatever the challenges of applying the Constitution to ever-advancing technology, the basic principles of the First Amendment do not vary, and courts must ensure that speech, especially political or electoral, is not censored for its ideas, subject matter, or content. Mendez further agreed with Cole's lawyer that AI deepfake of Harris was merely satire and that it should be protected by the First Amendment. Not should, is. While a well-founded fear of digitally manipulated media landscape may be justified, the fear does not give legislators unbridled license to bulldoze over long-standing tradition, critique, parody, and satire protected by the First Amendment. And even Musk got in on it, celebrating the win, making fun of this lizard person right here. That's not fair to lizards, comparing them to him. What is this guy? He's like he's a something. I don't know what, but he's a something. Patrick Bateman looking ass. Oh, and just in case you ever wondered, if you want to know if Kamala Harris is black or not, ask her to say the N-word. That should solve the problem right quick. Newsom on September 30 also vetoed a different bill that would have regulated AI. It was the Safe and Secure Innovation for Frontier Artificial Intelligence Models Act, SB 1047, which proposed mandatory safety testing of all AI models. He said it was well-intentioned, but it would place unnecessary restrictions on emerging AI companies in California. I thought he liked killing businesses. I thought he liked destroying stuff that was funny. Fucking asshole. But on to the next one that really makes me mad. And this right here is just fucking so beyond what anybody should have to deal with in the wake of the hurricanes that rolled through North Carolina. And I find it disgusting and repugnant and detestable and insert adjective with negative connotations here. FEMA is running out of funding, DHS Secretary Mayorkas warns. Where'd all that money go? I wonder. You have any guesses where that money went? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Bueller. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas warned the Federal Emergency Management Agency does not have enough funding to cover the rest of the hurricane season. Harleen carved a path of destruction through 6 southeastern states, leaving unprecedented devastation totaling tens of billions of dollars across communities, several of which officials said Thursday will need a full rebuild. 200 people were killed due to the storm, which brought catastrophic flooding to coastal and inland towns. Federal Relief Agency is extending aid in the form of food, water, generators, and monetary assistance, among other resources. And on that note, so far officials said Thursday FEMA has provided over $20 million in individual assistance. Okay, really quick. Let's go to X.com because there's a person critter dude who does things in the real world and meet space instead of just bitching at the internet like I do. And he went out here and it's a long read. I retweeted it if you'd like to follow me on the X platform at the redneck hipster. Just remove the vowels out of the redneck hipster part. But I digress. This right here. So basically it's a long post detailing previous experiences where he went to disaster zones in the wakes of hurricanes, spoke with locals, had to evade police blockades and patrols and whatnot, or FEMA patrols or whatnot, to deliver the aid because where's it at? FEMA had not set up a command center, or had set up a command center at the local high school on the island, but they weren't doing anything to help the residents, not even bringing them water. Instead, they were driving around using loudspeakers telling people to stay in their homes. They weren't even helping homeowners with supplies. It gets so much worse. ¿Dónde está? Right here. The reason they gave us is that all those donations were not from companies on their preferred vendors list. So basically, like, the donations that he brought down there, the water, the food, the gasoline, whatever, weren't coming from the right people that pay our duly elected representatives kickbacks for disaster relief. It's all about money. The preferred vendors are getting part of the money being released by the state and federal governments for each disaster. And in turn, some of those vendors make it onto the list because a friend gets them on the list, and in return for getting ridiculously outlandish amounts of compensation for the services they render, they give kickbacks. So accepting outside donations, even though they are on location and can help people right then and there, they say, nah, nope, off with you peasants, we don't care, we want to make sure our buddies get money. And excellent read. Check out this dude I jacked the story from, or re-xed it, reshared, whatever the hell that term is called. Really good read, and should make your blood boil because it made mine, and it's not just the heat. FEMA provided over $20 million to individual assistance. That's cute. $20 million in a disaster that tens of billions. Now, I was educated in the state of California. I can't count past the number 37, but I know that tens of billions is bigger than 20 million. And I know that the $750 gift cards, only if you really need it, are not going to buy a new house. They're not going to even, I mean, shit, at this rate of inflation and with grocery prices the way they are, good luck getting like a month's worth of food off of that for a family of 4. Like, you're fucked. Meeting immediate needs with money that we have. Well, we'd have a lot more money, Mayorkas, if, I don't know, maybe we didn't fucking give it all to Ukraine? You know, not an ally. Not a NATO country. They really don't do fuck all for us. Except give our duly elected leaders a justification to wave their dicks at fucking Putin. Under Obama, Putin invaded Crimea and annexed it. Trump gets elected. Biden gets elected. Putin invades the Donbass region. Game on in Ukraine again. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if I were a world leader set on reclaiming territory, and I had a puppet in the chief executive office of an adversarial nation, I wouldn't waste that opportunity by not exploiting the fact that they're not going to do what I want them to do. So either Putin's the biggest fucking retard on Earth, which, you know, is possible. I doubt it, but it's possible. Or maybe the Trump is a puppet of Putin narrative is more along the lines of projection. Maybe Putin didn't invade under Trump because he was scared of some kind of glassing of Moscow, maybe. And now that, you know, touched in the head Mr. Joe and Laughing Hyena Lady are in there, he figures they're not going to do anything. They like it because they get to send missiles and stuff, but, you know, the whole thing is walking us right up to World War III. Between that and the Middle East, we are so far beyond fucked. Anyway, back to hurricanes. He continued, we're expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have funds. FEMA does not have funds to make it through the season. You would if you didn't give all our money to fucking Ukraine. If you didn't give all the money to fucking illegals hopping over the border, flying them around the country, giving them food stamp cards, giving them housing vouchers, giving them, like... These people are evil. There's no other way about it. These people are evil. They are stealing the fruits of the American people's labor under the guise of, well, taxation is the price you pay for civilized society. If you don't pay taxes, who's going to build the roads? How about this? If you don't pay taxes, who's going to leave the fucking taxpayer out to dry? Huh? Because from where I'm sitting, the government ain't doing fucking shit with the taxes that they took, and that was their promise and their justification for the theft of those people's wages. And they can't even go back in and rebuild. They can't even go back in and do anything because they don't have the money, because they gave it all away. They are more concerned with the well-being of every other country on the planet than they are with the one that they are tasked with caring for. It's fucking disgusting. Emergency officials said Thursday 4.6 million customers were without power. Numbers down to around 1 million across the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia. Restoration efforts are underway, but some hard-hit areas were left estimated by Harlene's path, meaning a full emergency system or entire community rebuild may be necessary before residents can see power restored. Well, yeah, I mean, no use restoring power if your fucking house is just... Many are being targeted to be restored, blah, blah. This is not the first time government's disaster relief fund has faced monetary perils. Oh, gee, as the climate crisis deepens? Climate crisis, yeah. No, I'm because hurricanes have never happened before. Like that's the worst part about this, is that they find a way to blame the victim in this. Well, you just want to drive your truck. You just want to roll coal. You just want to burn dinosaurs. humans are so... We are so deluded in the belief that what we do has that big of an impact. Pollution is bad. Don't get me wrong. Don't put poisonous chemicals in the environment. That's a bad thing. That's a dick move. Fuck you for doing it. All of the carbon that's being released in the form of burning fossil fuels was in the atmosphere at one point. That's how it got into the plants that got buried over and turned into coal or LNG or petrol or whatever. And so it's nothing the planet hasn't weathered before. And it's nothing out of a cycle. We are literally part of the carbon cycle, releasing carbon from its stores that were previously trapped. Plants are probably thinking, thank God these people came around. Like, we domesticated them, and maybe there's like some higher awareness that plants are on where they actually ended up tricking us into domesticating them, so we would dig up all those dead dinosaurs and put the carbon back in the atmosphere so they could breathe it and get bigger and take over the world. I don't know. But that's just as likely as this bullshit. Next story. Ex-county clerk Tina Peters sentenced to prison for voting data scheme. One-time hero to election deniers, Peter has been unapologetic about what happened. Good on you, lady. Stand on your principles. Fuck these evil people. A judge excoriated a Colorado county clerk for her crimes and lies before sentencing on Thursday to 9 years behind bars for a data breach scheme. Now, let's see how detailed they get in this article, because I'm really interested to see if they actually explore that or if they just leave it as that. District Judge Matthew Barrett told former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters after earlier sparring with her for continuing to press discredited claims about rigged voting machines, she never took her job seriously. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could, probably. You'd be as defiant as any defendant in this court has ever seen. You're no hero. You abuse your position, and you're a charlatan. Wow. Tell me your political ideology aligns against her without telling me your political ideology is aligned against her. Like, judges are supposed to be neutral arbiters of law. She was found guilty in August for allowing a man to misuse a security card to access a Mesa County election system and for being deceptive about that person's identity. Way to be vague, Huffington Post. Blah, blah, blah. Mike Lindell manipulated to steal the election. Let's see. At trial, prosecutors said she was seeking fame, became fixated on voting problems after becoming involved with those who had questions about the accuracy of the presidential election results. Now, okay. Biden is president. Biden won. That, like, plain and simple. If you're in office, you're the one that won. Now, were there issues with the vote? Maybe. We don't know. Because of all of the lawsuits that were filed, none made it to the inside of a courtroom to actually go to evidentiary hearings and discovery. And so none of them were heard on their merits. None of them were heard or seen on what they actually alleged. They were just dismissed because, and this is speculation on my part, I don't actually know why the judges dismissed them. But I suspect a lot of them were dismissed because the implications of overturning that or finding in favor of the complaining party would be something very uncomfortable for a judge to do, and judges have families, and I understand wanting to protect your family from whatever harm may come from siding with truth over what's politically expedient or popular, but that's the job that you have. Okay? If you are in a position where you're making that kind of decision, you take that position with a certain understanding that your philosophical guiding principle must be truth over everything else, over your safety, over your family's safety, over what is beneficial to you, short, long, or other, what is comfortable. It needs to, the pursuit needs to be about truth and truth alone. And in this case, with the charged language used to excoriate, to borrow their word, Miss Peters, the judge definitely does not show any appearance of being grounded in that as his guiding principle. I'll just put it that way. She said she never did anything with malice to break the law. She only wanted to serve the people in Mesa County, and I believe that. I genuinely do. Because when nobody is willing to even examine what you have collected, what you see as odd, and explain to you why it's not, or validate that it is, and instead just say, no, this is just uncomfortable, this would just throw everything into more chaos. Like, sorry, but if I show up with a semi-truck full of ballots, all marked for one party or the other, and I dump them into the count pool, and somebody watches me do it the whole time, that would be voter fraud. Like, no two ways about it, no ifs, ands, or butt fucks about it. That would be voter fraud. That would be attempting to steal the election. However, as we saw in 2020, who would you bring that to? Because it would appear that we have arrived at a point where all due process, all channels to challenge this have been cast aside in favor of what is politically expedient and what is comfortable. She tried to press on with claims no legal authority has corroborated. Well, okay, so then that's one thing. But she's presenting evidence. She's trying to build a case, and y'all just straight up are like, no, and then she does something stupid. Like, I mean, granted, she did something stupid going above and beyond or outside of the scope of what her position allowed, but I will say on her actions that, while guilty as found by a court, that 9 years seems a bit steep. And to her, I would say, the road to hell is paved in good intentions and littered with the bodies of the well-intentioned. And the ends never justify the means. Wrong as it may have been for the cases to be thrown out, wrong as it may have been to find a bunch of ballots mysteriously at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, wow, look, it's just enough to win. But at the end of the day, Biden's in the office and Trump is not. That is how this works, apparently, and so you gotta piss with the cock you got. The judge said, I've let you go on enough about this. The votes are the votes. Later, the judge pointed out how Peters has kept up public appearances and broadcasts in sympathetic audiences to her own benefits. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them. No, at the end of the day, you care about the jets, the podcasts, and people fly. Wow, that, like... See, and right there, that's so out of line. Because this line right here in particular, no objective person believes them. An objective person would withhold judgment until she's presented her whole case. An objective person would have heard the case that was brought before the court rather than, and hear it on its merits, evaluate the evidence, rather than dismiss it as lack of standing. So you can't say that no objective person believes them, because I don't believe them necessarily, but I don't disbelieve them either. Peters had the right to be defiant, he noted, but it was certainly not helpful for her lot today. This judge is a dick. This judge needs to be disbarred. He needs to be disrobed and flogged in the public, or some other punishment fitting his dereliction and pursuit of truth. Jesus Christ. She was convicted of 3 counts of attempting to influence a public servant, 1 count of conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, first-degree official misconduct, violation of duty, and failing to comply with the Secretary of State. And murderers get cut loose and released from prison sooner than she'll be out. The criminal gangs from Venezuela that have taken over apartment buildings in Colorado will likely, if ever brought to justice, face less serious sentencing than she has. Rapists face less serious time in prison than she does. And so this whole thing is just, yeah. And see, the other part about this is that this article is very scant on actual details. There's a lot of Republicans. This is a very editorialized presentation of the facts as they are, because, let's see, what are her claims about rigged voting machines? Let's go to Ground News right quick and find this same article. Where did we go? I think this one was... Give me a history, see what I'm reading. I miss having a paid Ground News. It was nice. Stories read. Can I? Yeah, fuck it. But this is a very lopsided presentation of the argument, because there's no... You're stating she never took her job seriously. I mean, I guess they're paraphrasing the judge, but what are the discredited claims about rigged voting machines? What was she alleging that the voting machines were doing? What was the evidence as far as the examination to verify that they were or to discredit them? What was the methodology there? And it's things like that that really get my noggin jogging and put me on a side of, I don't believe this, not because it doesn't read as true. I don't believe this because it doesn't present relevant facts while alluding to them, but not clarifying or stating them. But anyway, on to the next one. This one, anti-Trump impeachment witness Sondland says, yes, I'm voting for Trump. Biden-Harris policies are an existential threat. Nice to use that language, friend. Former U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, who was a witness in former President Donald J. Trump's first impeachment, said Wednesday on MSNBC's The Beat that he will vote for Trump because he disagrees with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's policies. I didn't know she had any. Host Ari Melber said, why was it important for you to say no more Trump because of this January 6th? Do you stand by that? And he says, no, I'll tell you why. I've lived for 4 years under Biden-Harris policies, and I have to say that those policies are not only becoming an existential threat to our country's way of life, but to our allies as well. Wow. I would just like to... round of applause for this guy for... not because he came to the Trump side, but because he recognized reality as it existed and adjusted course as necessary, or as he saw necessary. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what policies you support. It's a free country, and part of being individuals means that we are different on different things. All that I care about is that the attitude carried forward in investigating these things is not one of dogma and fundamentalism to ideology, but instead a critical evaluation of ideology and the underlying logic therein, as well as the facts as they exist. And that does not mean, well, this news source said real, this news source said not real, therefore I'm going with this one because go team, whatever. It's, why is there this discrepancy? It's investigating beyond just what is said and making sure that when you are arriving at a point to carry forward as a, belief, that you are doing so in a way that is intellectually honest and holds some form of rigor. I don't care if your logic is different than mine. That makes sense because you're going to have different access to different facts, or you're going to be exposed to different facts than I am, and so that's going to shade your perception one way or the other. It's like I do in my writing. I try to stay away from prescriptive language telling people what to do or what course of action to take beyond just think. I don't want people to follow me in what I believe. I want people to think for themselves and arrive at their own conclusions through discussion, debate, and discovery rather than dogma. Because I don't care where your source is for it. Dogma of all shades and colors is the same evil, whether it be in religion or politics or in music or whatever. I don't care. If you don't justify things and you just say because, and if not heretic, you are part of the problem. But props to this guy. He came around to evaluate his own point in a stunning display of something that used to be very common in this country. He said, it's a yes for me, it's an absolute yes. That's how badly the Biden-Harris team have prosecuted their job. Fuck. The whole point you seem to be making is January 6th, and that kind of attack on democracy is bigger than any policy. He says, I'm seeing so many attacks on democracy that eclipse January 6th. Oh my god, you mean it's not the worst thing to happen since forever? It was like 10 9/11s. Okay. Some good news. X9 solar flare, X9.1 and an X7.1 solar flares, back to back. So cool. Sun doesn't like us either for our bullshit. Thank you. So yeah, here's the, let's see, that's the third. So this is the X-class flare. You see a full halo of it. Big ejecta energy. And what's happening here is yesterday there was a smaller one, a 7, which is still fucking big solar flare, 7.1. That one had much less ejecta, but it's on its way. And then today, the Sunspot group fired off that 9.1, which is going to be, when you're on the freeway and you're trying to save gas because it's Biden's America and everything's expensive and you get every last dollar out of it you can. And so you get right up on a semi and you kind of set the cruise control, but you find that pocket where you're drafting and you're in kind of like a low pressure-ish zone. It's kind of like that. So the already bigger, but flip the roles. So instead of the semi being in front of a car, you've got a semi following a car, because the smaller one's in front in this example. But it's creating a disturbance to the air, making it easier for the other one to come through. That's on Earth. In space, what's happening is it's clearing out any dust, and it's going, when the first one hits, it's going to impact our magnetosphere, causing auroras. It's going to look really, really pretty. I can't wait, because we can see them down here in Arizona now, because, you know, it's totally normal, totally part of climate change that we can see the aurora borealis. It has nothing to do with terrestrial climates. But the 7.1 is gonna probably cause some issues with, like, cell phone service, satellite service, various electrical systems, whatever, induced currents, maybe knock some stuff out, maybe knock some stuff up, I don't know. The problem is, though, is that that's going to induce a geomagnetic storm in the Earth's magnetosphere as it tries to rebalance itself, so to speak, from that impact, and right behind it's going to be an even bigger punch. I don't expect, like, catastrophic end of days scenario. I don't expect this to be the sun coming back, but this time as a lion with a flaming sword he pulls from his mouth, while scenes that would be more at home in a metal music video play out, like, you know, the bodies of the dead being made whole again. And I guess the JWs would be right in that case to not donate organs or blood, because could you imagine the scene? Jesus comes back, pulls a flaming sword out of his mouth, and all of a sudden the dead start rising up out of the ground, but then, like, organs start just randomly yeeting themselves out of people's bodies they'd been transplanted into, and blood is, like, flying everywhere because transplanted blood and whatnot. It would be fucking metal as hell. I owe my former father-in-law a thank you for that one, because I remember we were all sitting around in the bathroom smoking weed, and that was his take on Revelation being metal. And he's not wrong. But solar flare. So, really pretty pictures. I don't know what it'll end up looking like as far as aurora goes, but let's see. We still have a 35% chance of X-class, 75% chance of M-class, geomagnetic storms. So next 24 to 48 hours, we're looking at severe up to 35% forecast. High latitude's probably going to have a rough time. But it should be really fucking pretty. Just have I mentioned that it's going to be pretty. And then, so here's our wind map. Just kind of unwind after that onslaught of information and other bullshit that I am burdened with and have been unburdened, so the future can be unburdened by what has been. But now you're burdened with what has been for me, so thank you for helping me bear the weight of the world's problems that I shoulder upon myself, because I can't find anything else to do because nobody will hire me right now. Whatever. C'est la vie. I don't want your stupid job or stupid society. Anyway, no, I'm like, it fucking sucks. But yeah, so we got our jet stream. And let's see, look at the, what is that? So if hurricanes spin this way, so that's a high pressure system. I have to do the finger motion. Like I said, California education, can't count past 37. But I know the word defenestrate. It's my favorite word. I don't know why. That was a vocabulary word for me in 3rd grade. But it looks like we got Jetstream kind of just cruising right over the northern portion of the country. Got a little bit of moisture sweeping up out of here. Got this high pressure system pushing stuff down, which means we got winds going like that, and it's just pretty, and the whole world centers around in North America because that's where I live, and the rest of the world might as well not exist. Kidding. And then we'll just go to our National Doppler radar. Well, look at that. Looks like whoever was controlling the weather decided to give North Carolina a break for a minute. Thank you. I'm sure the citizens of that fine state appreciate it. And I am very glad I am not there anymore. Dear God, that would suck. It's never in Nashville, but let's see. I was here. Actually, first time I was like right Donde está Newport? So first time around, I was like, God, can't even remember. Was it even me? If it was more than 7 years ago, every cell in my body's been replaced since then, so was it even really me? I don't know. Whoa, man, that's like really deep, man. But yeah, first time I was like around there, and then I was down here, and then I was somewhere over here, and then I said, nope, I'm going back over here. I've also lived here. I currently live here. Right here is really cool. So like right here. All of this, gorgeous, beautiful, proof there is a God. Maybe not the one in the traditional sense of it, but there is definitely some like something with an eye for art because of this right here. Like this whole region is just... Anyway, let me just close this out with the poem that I wrote. It's about civil unrest. Need a preview of what's to come. So this one's called The Fire Rises. I'm not going to read the preface, but against police they waged their war, a righteous cause, or so they say. Millions watch in shock and horror, this peaceful protest on display. Flying bottles ignited rags, graffitied walls and fires of peace. Ironic sight of burning flags, such peaceful protests in the streets. In his reign, the voices shout, chanting insults, lobbing bombs. Cameras frame this scene in doubt. This peaceful protest marches on. Martyrs made, now only names, demands fulfilled, yet seeking more. The marchers' rage ignites the flames, this peaceful protest feels like war. Now bullets fly, hope starts to fade, the country burns and freedom dies. I hope they like the mess they made, their stupid peaceful protest prize. And with that, I bid you all adieu.